Okay, everyone. Today we're going to be taking a look at lesson one here out of this new unit here on reproduction, heredity, and growth. For this video, we're going to take a look at the first exploration, which is just going to take us through the first couple of pages that we have here. It gives you the little, by the end of the lesson thing, it says you'll be able to explain how inheritance influences an organism's traits. That's kind of where we start off here with this first little can you explain it question. It says, knowing the kitten's fur color, what would you predict the parent's fur to look like? Well, if we look at these little kitty cats that we have right here, there's a lot of possible answers that you can put. But you could say that, the parents are brown, the parents are gray. Maybe mom was brown and dad was gray, right? So by looking at the traits that the kittens have, you can probably get a little bit of an idea of some of the traits that the parents would have had there as well. All right, and then if we take a look at the second question, it says, why do you think these kittens look similar in some ways, different in other ways? You could say something like they share some traits of mom and some of dad, but they are not exact copies of either parent. So when we do have, and we'll talk more about sexual and asexual reproduction as we move further, but we're not making clones, right? The offspring are going to look a little bit different than what the parents are going to look, but you're still going to have some of mom's traits, some of dad's traits, and they're going to mix together to give us what our new organism is going to look like, right? Kind of what this first exploration deals with, it focuses in on our man Gregor Mendel, who really gave us a lot of our ideas, and they still hold true about how genetics, heredity, all of these concepts actually work. Okay, so about 150 years ago, Gregor Mendel, he's a monk, right? So he lives in a monastery with a whole bunch of other monks. He has studied at university and stuff, right? So he's a scientist, but he's also a religious man, a holy man. Well, for his, I don't know, time, he does a bunch of experiments with pea plants. And in doing so, he looks at a bunch of different traits, right? So the main one they're focusing on here is purple versus white flowers. And that's kind of what we can see here in this first question that it asks is just what are some differences you notice in these pea plants? Well, some of them have purple flowers, some of them have white flowers, lots of different things that he looked at. He looked at like the color of the peas themselves, green versus yellow. He looked at the color of the pods, again, green versus yellow. The seeds, if they were round or wrinkled. So just lots and lots of stuff that he did take a look at there as he was going through his experiments. Okay? Let's see. So basically what he's doing in his experiment is he's breeding a purple flowering plant with a white flowering plant. Okay, and we call these true breeding because if you were to just let the purple ones breed with each other, they would always give purple offspring. Same way, if he let the white ones breed with each other, just white plants, he would always get white offspring. Okay, but the big thing he's doing here is he's crossbreeding them together. Okay, so what the question down here asks is how does the presence of white flowers change from the parent offspring to the first generation to the second generation? All right, so if we take a look at the diagram and we kind of describe what's going on here, we can see, whoa, we don't need all that. We can see here, in the parent generation, right, we've got purple and we've got white, again, true breeding. And our first generation, which is right here, we call that the F1 generation, you can see that all of the offspring are purple. Even though one of the parents is white, white totally disappears in this first generation. Once you get to the second generation, we call that the F2 generation, you can see here that white actually comes back, but it only comes back a quarter of the time, right? So basically he's taken this purple plant here, crossing it with this purple plant here, and we can see that of the offspring, you would kind of expect, hey, purple times purple, everything purple, right? No, they're not. Okay, purple times purple here gives us 1, 2, 3 purple, 1 white. That gives us 3/4 or 75% purple and 1/4 white. And that's what we can see down here. And again, he did this with all kinds of different traits. Like I said, the wrinkled versus round seeds, the yellow seeds versus the green seeds, right? And always in the second generation, he came up with a situation where he was getting this 3-to-1 ratio, 3/4 of, we call it the dominant trait, 1/4 of the recessive trait. The trait that you see here in this F1 generation, we call that dominant, the one that disappeared, right? White disappears or skips a generation here. That is the recessive trait. And again, the way we figure out what's dominant and recessive, hey, it's whichever one shows up in this first generation, that's the dominant trait. Whichever one disappears in that generation, we refer to that as the recessive trait. Okay, so this just gives a little bit more information about how he actually went through his experiments here. Okay, it mentions the term true breeding right here. It mentions crossing the two parent plants together. What he actually did is he took a little duster and he would physically take pollen from one plant and transfer it to the other plant. So he knew specifically what was breeding with what. Okay. This next part, it describes what's happening in that first generation, okay? Again, dominant trait. That dominant trait is the one that shows up in the first generation. Again, purple right here. That's our dominant trait, okay? Recessive trait is the one that hides, okay? White disappears. It's hidden in that first generation. It recedes, it goes back, all right? The big, powerful, dominant trait hides it, okay? So we get purple as dominant, white as recessive, okay? The next step there was he let these self-pollinate, okay? So you can consider this as mom and dad, or you consider them crossing with each other here. At any rate, he ends up with, in the next generation, that 3-to-1 ratio, 3/4 to 1/4, 75% dominant, 25% recessive. Okay, so that's kind of what he sees there in his experiment. So moving on down here, it just kind of talks a little bit more about what he thought was going around. In Mendel's time, he didn't know about genes. He didn't know about DNA. Okay, everything he's finding out, he's doing from his experimental data. Okay, so it says here, Mendel hypothesized that each plant must have 2 inherited factors for each trait, 1 from each parent. So he says that mom is providing 1 packet of information, dad is providing 1 packet of information, and they're coming together to form that new offspring. Again, he's referring to those as factors. Okay, we're going to talk about the actual terminology for that as we move forward here. Okay, but number 5 says explain how Mendel's data supported his hypothesis. Support your answer by citing textual evidence. Well, if we just kind of look back at what we just kind of talked about here, just if that will pop in to kind of summarize, Mendel hypothesized that each parent gave 1 factor, 1 piece of information to the offspring. His data showed that the recessive trait disappeared in the F1 generation. We saw that up here, right? Recessive goes away. The recessive trait reappears in the F2 generation if 2 recessive factors are inherited. So 1/4 of the time you get 2 factors, 2 recessive factors from this original true breeding plant right here that shows the recessive trait, right? That recessive trait hides in this generation and it comes back in the next generation. Okay. Number 6, Mendel crossed a true breeding plant with yellow with a true breeding plant with green. All of the first gener offspring had yellow peas. Explain which trait is recessive. Okay, so right here, all first generation offspring had yellow peas. What that means is that if we're saying just yellow right there, it means that green is your recessive trait and that the green trait is hidden by yellow in that first generation. Okay, so again, the big things here to pay attention to, right? In Mendel's experiment, true breeding parent that has the dominant trait, we cross that with a true breeding parent that has the recessive trait. Okay, every time Mendel did this, and he counted thousands upon thousands of peas, hundreds upon hundreds of pea plants, but every time he did this, in the first generation, we see every single one showing the dominant trait. The recessive trait is totally hidden right here. Okay, the next breeding that he does, he takes the first generation plants, allows them to self-pollinate, and then when we take purple times purple here, instead of coming up with all purple offspring, that's not what we get. We get 1, 2, 3 purple and 1 white. 3 dominant, 1 recessive. 3 out of 4, 75% dominant versus 1 out of 4, 25% recessive. Okay, and again, he doesn't know about DNA yet. He doesn't know about genes yet. All he's got are the peas in the back of the monastery, and the monks are getting tired of eating peas by now. But he's laying the groundwork for what we still use today as the basis for our understanding of genetics. Okay, so we'll call that good for exploration 1. In exploration 2, we'll look a little bit more closely at what these factors that are being passed down actually are, and how we can make some predictions from that information, and what Mendel was actually seeing, even though he didn't know about DNA at his time. All right, there we go, guys.